भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम 10th mantra. Yesterday we were seeing Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati Vishuddha sattvah kamayate yamscha kaman Vishuddha sattvah kamayate yamscha kaman Tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman Tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman Tasmadhyatmajnam hyarchayet bhuti kama Tasmad atmagnam harchayet bhuti kama Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati Vishuddha sattvah kamayate yanscha kaman Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati Vishuddha sattvah kamayate yamscha kaman Tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman Tasmadatmagnyam hyarchayet bhuti kama Tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman Tasmadhyatmagnyam hyarchayet bhuti kama. Almost 14 of them are with a switched off video. Except 3-4, rest have not asked me. Please switch on the video. We are here to study. I am not doing katha. So, in fact, I am uncomfortable even with this medium of teaching. And when you keep the video off, it becomes more difficult for me to teach. So, please switch on, those of you who have not taken the permission. Yesterday we saw the knowledge is praised. This is one of the Falashruti. What is a Falashruti? Whatever words he thinks, wise person thinks, and whatever objects of desires a wise person desires, tam tam prapnoti, and he goes to those lokas and he gains those pleasures. I emphasized the point that it doesn't mean he literally gains the pleasure. it doesn't mean he literally goes to the lokas. They say wise person can travel anywhere in the world, in the universe. Wise person is the one who doesn't travel. Otherwise, only keeps traveling. We'll see in the next mantra. Wise is the one whose travel is over. So he doesn't go and he doesn't have any desire for any object. The description of the wise person is he or she is completely free from any desire for any sensual pleasure. Why? Because Purnatvat, he or she, a wise person, has discovered the fact that I am Ananda, Aham Purna, I am Purna and I am Ananda. That being the case, he doesn't require any sensual pleasure. Therefore, we quoted yesterday the verse, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan. He becomes free from all the desires. He gives up all the desires, Vishayan. And Vihaya kaman, he is free from any desires. So, there is no possibility of desire. Then why it is said so? It is a stuti to point out that all the pleasures are included in the Ananda which is self. Or the correct statement would be all the objective pleasures are nothing but expression of Ananda, that is you. Manifestation of Ananda. That whether the joys that you get here in this world or the joys that one gets in the world hereafter by going to heaven or Brahmaloka or whatever, all the joys are nothing but expression of same Ananda, which is my Swarupa. So he doesn't gain those pleasures. It is as though he gains all the pleasures. Okay? Why as though? Because all sensual pleasures, objective pleasures are gets included in Atma Sukha. If you have studied Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a section called Ananda Mimamsa. Different levels of joys, happinesses are described. But every time it says, Saeko Deva Gandharvanam Anandaha, Saeko Devanam Ananda, etc. But then, Te Ye Shatam Devanam Anandaha, Shrotriyasya cha Akamahatasya. One who is wise, he gains all that. And he knows all the lokas are included in me. Nothing is away from me. Where is the question of going? I cannot go anywhere because I am Anantam Brahma. Purna Brahma Hamasmi. Where is the question of me going to some loka? I cannot. So, this is a praise of Ananda. Praise of the knowledge from the standpoint of Ananda, standpoint of Sukha. Then you may say, why loka is mentioned? Why kamas are mentioned? Because it uses the same language that of Karma Kanda. The person who was there doing all these Yajna Yagadis, and now he or she has come to Vedanta. So to explain him in his or her own language, it is used there. Okay. Therefore, he says, Tasmad, and then there is a word which we did not discuss, Vishuddha Sattvaha. Vishuddha Sattvaha, Yam Yam Lokam Manasa Samvibhati, one. And Vishuddha Sattvaha, Yamsya Kaman Kamante. The Vishuddha Sattvaha means one who is having a pure mind. That person, whatever lokas, worlds he desires, aspires, and whatever pleasures he aspires, he gains. So here, Vishuddha Sattva primarily means one who is free from self-ignorance. Ashuddhi, totally Shuddha and Vishuddha Sattva. Totally pure. Visheshena Shuddha. Sattva means Antahkaranam. So, Vishuddha Sattva means one whose Antahkaranam is totally pure. Vishuddha, totally pure means Antahkaranam means what? The person who is free from self-ignorance. Ultimate Ashuddhi is self-ignorance. And self-ignorance caused Ashuddhi. The primary impurity is ignorance. Secondary impurity is Ragadvesha. And you can further go. Ragadvesha caused impurities, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, Shadvikaras, they call it. So, but the root is ignorance, self-ignorance. So, Vishuddha Sattva means the person who is free from self-ignorance. That means Brahmagnya, Atmagnani Purush. Whatever he desires, he gains. It's a figurative usage. Tasmat, therefore, Atmagyam Hyarchayed Bhutikamaha. Bhutikamaha means Vibhutikamaha. The person who is desirous of worldly pleasures, the person who wants the pleasures here or hereafter, that Bhutikamaha, I mean the one you can say desirous of prosperity. Bhutikamaha Archayed should worship Atmagnyam, should worship the wise person. Atmagnyam means what? One who is a Shrotriya and Brahmanishta. To that person, he should do puja. Okay. This is a mandate of a Shruti, in a way. Why mandate? Because, as they say, Shreyansi Bahuvignani. There are so many obstacles in the pursuit of moksha. To remove all these obstacles, one should seek the grace of the teacher, the grace of the Guru. Guru Krupa, one has to earn. That Guru, see, there are 4 types of Krupas, grace, 4-fold grace one need to earn. One is Ishvara Krupa. When one has a Ishvara Krupa, then one has a pure Antahkarana. Antahkarana means free from likes, relatively free from likes and dislikes. Antahkarana is relatively free from the holds of likes and dislikes. That is Ishvara Krupa. And when that further Ishvara Krupa is, there is a relative objectivity. In other words, dispassion, popular word, towards the world and of possessions of the world. Thereby, in course of time, there is a desire to know the self. So, mokshecha udayaha, rise of a mokshecha in Antahkaranam is Ishvara. Mokshecha is called Shubhecha. It's very auspicious desire. Therefore, the Gita starts with Atha. Arjuna says Atha. Sanjay says, Samprapte sannihite kale. There Atha vyavasthitan drashtva dhartarashtran kapitvajaha. Pravrutte shastra sampate dhanurudhyamya pandava. Rishikesham tada vakyam idamaha mahipate senayor ubhayor madhye ratham sthape mechyata. Omkara and Atha are symbol of auspiciousness. Mangalika, it is pavitrata. When you start any work with Om or Atha, that means it implies a prayer for removal of all the obstacles and prayer for all the conducive factors to help you to do the things. It's very auspicious. So therefore, we start any auspicious, any work with Atha or Om. So there is a shloka also. Some of them chant in Dhyana shloka. Omkarasya Atha Shabdasya Dvavimau Brahmanav Pura. Kandham Bhitva Viniryatau Tasmat Mangalikau Ubhavu. These were the first two words that came out of Brahmaji's mouth even before the creation started. Therefore, they are called Mangala Vachanam, Mangalakari. That's a one meaning. Okay. So, Gitaji, when Arjuna took a decision that his chariot should be placed between the two armies, that particular decision is, his decision when he communicated to Krishna, Sanjaya narrating this dialogue said, Atha. It's a very auspicious decision. Though that decision led to grief, Shokavishta, Pashru Purna Kulekshana, his eyes were full with tears, swelled with tears, and he was empowered almost all enveloped as though by grief at the end of the chapter, having seen those warriors when the chariot was placed in the middle of both the armies. But this particular grief led him to ask for moksha. So that decision was very auspicious. Like I often used to say that now after a long time it came to my mind. A decision to go for a Gujarati drama also becomes auspicious. I had one student in Ahmedabad. In Ahmedabad, there is a town hall in Ellis Bridge, very old hall, as they call it, community hall, and it's known for dramas and things like that. One of the students, he narrated this to me. One day, young guy, he thought, he was fond of dramas, not movies. So he thought, let me see which are available. Those days, I'm talking of 85, 86, when I used to take classes in Ahmedabad University. So he just went there. And I happened to talk in that hall for those 5 days. And there was one notice about, some flex banner or something like that. I don't know what it was. Having seen me, this is what he told me. I was wondering, who is this Swami coming on a platform for drama? Ellis Bridge, the town hall was famous for dramas. He comes here and talks something Gita. Is he doing Gita drama or what? Or if he's not doing Gita drama, let me see the Swami. And that's it. So he came to the lecture, and as you say in America, I hit him, I hit him. So the lecture hit him, and then he became a regular student, of the class. And almost 5-6 years still, I went to Ahmedabad. He was attending classes. I have no contact since 94, 95 with him, but then he studied for 7-8 years. So that decision to look for a drama is an auspicious decision, auspicious desire, which led to study of a Shastra. So it was auspicious. That's a grace. And the ultimate Ishwar Krupa is that you come across a right teacher. You meet an acharya. Veda, first of all, in a modern context, I have to say Vedanta acharya. You see, the mokshecha is not very clear. Vairagya is not very clear. There is some unclear, ambiguous sense that I want something. There is a feeling of discomfort. There is a feeling of not at homeness with whatever I have. there is a feeling it is not enough. I think something else should be done. I don't have a peace of mind, some kind of, shanti nahi hai, sab hai, lekin shanti nahi hai. I have everything, but I don't have peace. That unclear feeling in a seeker, person wants to do something which is not common. Something uncommon it wants. And that time that person is extremely gullible. He can end up in kriya, he can end up in bhajan, he can end up in some seva, he can end up in some yoga, whatever. Because the goal is not clear, much less the means to achieve the goal is also not clear. Even if there is a moksha ichha, the fellow may say, I want moksha, but doesn't know what is moksha. And popular belief is moksha is some experience. So they seek experiential moksha. They seek some divine experience or some darshan of Bhagavan, something, just that mind gets stuck into it. And once you get stuck into something which is not the proper and invest yourself emotionally, and after some time emotional investment becomes so heavy, you cannot communicate anything to that person. The topic becomes so sensitive that it hurts the person if you say that. Say blindly, if you say bluntly, the thing, so you are giving me pain. You should not say this, Swamiji. Puja Swamiji used to dismiss Purva Pakshas left and right in his class. Some of the brahmacharis, after 6 or 8 months of the study in the ashram, having had some background for whatever papam they had, they went to some other institutions. And some whatever punya they had, from there they migrated here. Once you are there, it becomes difficult because emotional investment makes you non-thinking person. Even if you are thinking, you are not ready to change. That's what is fanaticism. What we see this today in India, religious strifes and religious issues. There, if you sit across with them and tell them how can this be true, they say, no, this is true. I believe in my God. I believe in my messenger. And this is true. Non-thinking. Inside that person knows that what Swamiji is telling is truth. But due to that emotional investment, he becomes blindfolded to these issues. They lose cognitive honesty. They lose thinking capacity. And if you make them see also, they lose capacity to accept which they see through it. Even though they don't have argument, even though they feel it is illogical, still they hold on to their belief just because of emotional investment. Understand? In samsara, they say emotions create havoc in our samsaric life. No, in so-called spiritual life also, emotions alone create havoc. The same thing, the fellows grihasthis are emotionally immature. They have not processed their unconscious and their childhood issues, and they are not objective and therefore become dukhi. And so-called religious teachers, religious pastors, the great people of their own religion, they have same emotional issues, missing emotional maturity, and they are missing, I would say, ethical maturity also. Therefore, they have double standards in their ethics. If you kill our fellow, so-called believer, then there is papa. And if you kill non-believer, there is a punyam. How can there be double standards in ahimsa? Himsa is himsa. You cannot have this himsa is papam and that himsa is punyam. And who gave you this right to say that? All non-thinking. Dishonest. And thank God that we didn't get stuck to someone like that. And if at all I had enough of, okay, somehow I am saved. I had an encounter with Sri Rajani's onwards, so many Mahatmas and institutions. But somehow there was a feeling I'm missing this. This is not okay. I don't know. I was not much clear about it. But it didn't make sense to me. And then finally came to Swamiji. And then I thought, yeah, this is the one. This is okay. So, in spite of having had association with certain religious groups for quite long time, 6 months, 8 months, I never invested my emotions into them. And moment I heard Swamiji, I could see the fallacy in their logic and presentation. And I could just shed it off. That was lucky. When I look back, I wonder how come I was saved of all these things, I should have got stuck somewhere else, but never got into it. Thank God. Let's give, for a change, credit to Jesus. The Savior saved me from that. Jesus, the Savior, saved me from them. Anyway, coming back to this, because I was quite close to those all guys also, Jesus and Muhammad fellows also. So he saved me from getting into them. Anyway, so coming back to this, that's Ishwar Krupa. And the last, or you can say pinnacle of the Krupa is, you have a Shraddha in the Guru. To get a Guru is Ishwar Krupa. Your Shraddha is again grace. Here, one small doubt or question. How do I know the Guru? Whether I am with the right person or not. Because you don't know. There is no clarity about the means and the end. You don't know what is Guru and what is Vedanta. You don't know what is Brahman, etc. If I know Brahman, then I need not go to a Guru. And if I don't know, how do I know that Guru knows it or not? So Brahmanishtattva of a Guru, you cannot know. But you can certainly know the Shrotriyatva. I have told earlier also, how do I know that I am with the right Guru? This is, I really have a pain about this stupidity of Hindus. One of the most intelligent race in the world. This is the country, or this is the, Hindus are the one who are the most rational, most logical. And Hindus have only and only Hindus have teaching tradition. We are not faithful guys. We are not believers. And we have right to question the teacher. Even when Bhagavan himself is a teacher, Arjuna had the freedom to question. Right from the beginning, 3rd chapter onwards, 2nd chapter, there was a question to know more. In the 3rd chapter, there is a question doubting what you say. The 3rd chapter question is that I see contradiction in your statements. That was the question. In the 12th chapter, etc. But still, today we are in such an abysmal situation. Hindu society is in such a painful situation that they don't look for Shastra from a Guru. No Muslim will go to a Muslim religious leader who, if he or she doesn't accept Quran or Allah or Hadith, they will not give a dime even for that Guru, as they say. No Christian will go to any father or any religious leader if he or she doesn't accept the God in heaven, doesn't accept the Son of a God, the Jesus, and doesn't accept the Bible. Nobody. No Jew will go to any rabbi who doesn't accept the Torah. But Hindus will go. So-called religious teachers, religious leaders who don't utter a word shakara of Shastra. Forget about knowing, idiots. And irony is, some of them were there. This is Balihari, Govind Apki, the Maya. Some of the idiots openly censured and condemned Shastras, condemned Acharyas, condemned tradition. And still they are called as Krantikari Sant. And people follow them. All the fake sadhus that went to, some of them went to jail in last decade. It was a big issues like Ram Rahim and Rampal and Asaram and Radhema and all these guys. I'm sorry to say, it's not their fault only. Only Hindu society is also to blame. As they say in Hindi, "Ah, बैल मुझे मार," तो बैल क्यों नहीं मारेगा? Why don't you ask that person who doesn't accept Shastra, hey, how can you a Hindu guru? When you don't accept Vedas, you don't accept Gita, when you don't accept even Itihasa, Ramayana, Mahabharata, he doesn't talk. They never talked, much less Puranas. And they have become big gurus. How come? It's very painful, stupidity. Hindus have become guinea pigs because they have alienated themselves from Shastra. Any Mahatma comes and anyone wears the orange clothes or has a big dadi, as Swami Dayanji would say, he comes on the TV and blabbers something and becomes a guru. All these kathakars talking about Bhagavata and Ramayana, nobody looks at what is there in Ramayana, original. And they are great devotees. Nobody looks at what is there in original. In the name of Ramayana, you blabber. We had Rajneesh who condemned everybody and still became a Hindu spiritual religious leader. And in Gujarat, we had one Swami, what is it, Chinmaya or some Chidananda or something like that. He wore these clothes and he used to condemn sannyas. And still they had followers. Are, if you are condemning sannyas ashrama, why the hell are you wearing this? He wants to use the goodwill of sannyasa and show himself as a new thinker. And he was called as Krantikari Sant. What Krantikari? Revolutionary saint. Just a word. Let me use Puja Swamiji's word. Idiotic. All idiots. Hindus have alienated from Shastra. That's why some fake gurus are surviving. A seeker, to know whether I am with the right teacher or not, he or she should check the Shrotriyatvam of the teacher. How do I know whether I have a right guru or not? At least see this much. Does that guru teach you Shastra? Does that guru accept the Shastra? First of all, accept. And does he teach his Shastra? If he or she teaches Shastra, better check with the Shastra also. Otherwise, so many people talk about Ramayana and nobody checks what is there in Ramayana. And then they blabber it out something and they think this Mahatma said this and this Kathakar said this, Pujya Shri and Mota, all useless Pujya Shri and Bhai Shri and all things are going on, floating in, and they have become big guys. I go and meet them, their body language and their Arrogance, my God. You can fufu them. There is no tatparya nisha. It is all blabbering and emotional hype you create, and people are gullible. So when you are gullible, why should not the other person exploit you? As a Hindu, you should question this. Hindu was Shastra-centric tradition, not person-centric. We have unfortunately become person-centric devotees. And classic example is yoga. None of these yoga gurus talk about Patanjali Rishi. None of them talk about Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Everybody has new yoga. It is nothing but doing like this, fellows and do like that. All useless asanas, nothing but modern acrobatics. And some here and there physical cure. Physical cure yoga is not curative therapy. In fact, if at all you want to use it, it is somewhat preventive, not curative. We have reduced yoga into curative. If you have back pain, do this yoga. If you are tired, do these asanas. If you have calf muscle problem, do this. If you have stomach problem, do this. This is useless yoga. This is all bogas for yogacharyas to get dakshina and enjoy the life. Patanjali Yoga Sutra should be there. And now they ask also, which tradition of yoga do you belong to, Swami? Oh, you are from Shivananda Ashram. So you belong to Shivananda tradition. Arre, what Shivananda tradition? Shivananda yoga originally is Patanjali, whatever available to us. Even it was before that. It is like saying, okay, Swamiji, you teach Gita, yes. What tradition of Gita you belong to? Oh, you are from Dayananda tradition. I am from Chinmaya tradition. I am from Pandurang tradition. Nonsense. All of us belong to Krishna tradition. How can you eliminate Krishna and create your own tradition and then still say, I am talking Gita? There is nothing. Not even Shankaracharya tradition. It is originally is Krishna's. But this is a problem with Hindu society. Hindus are mundus, as Swami used to say that. He used to get so pained at this. Anyway, how do I know the Guru? Better check whether he or she teaches Shastra. Okay? Then if he or she doesn't teach Shastra, then that you can check the Shrotriyatvam of a person, and when he or she teaches Shastra, see whether what he says is there in Shastra. He's not just throwing the names. Like Rama said to Lakshmana, Krishna said this, Vyasji said this, Sukdevji said this. They may not have said. See the original. Now Hindi, English, Marathi, Tamil, all translations are available. Coming back to this, that's a grace that you get this Guru. And then one has to earn Atma Krupa and Shastra Krupa. Okay? And Guru Krupa. By earning the grace of a teacher, the Shastra Krupa means the words of the Shastra should speak to you. The hidden meanings of the Shastra. The deeper meaning or the right meaning, what right, deeper and hidden, let me not use this adjective. The proper meaning of the Shastra, you should be able to see through and through. It's a Shastra. I am able to see through and through the tatparya of the Shastra and can place where the mantra falls, it is its own things fall in place to me. And Atma Krupa, may my upadhi, mana, buddhi, indriya, etc. be conducive to me in the pursuit of moksha. If I use the Shastric word, in Kathopanishad, Yamraja says, Dhatu prasadat mahimanama. Dhatu prasada. My antakarana, my sense organ, my body, they are all called dhatava. prasada. They should be prasanna. They are aiding my pursuit of moksha rather than obstructing the pursuit of moksha. And to have a mind free from emotional issues, that's a great prasada, dhatu prasada. To have a mind, buddhi, which can comprehend the subtle differences, the subtle vastu that the teacher is talking about. That's a grace. And mind, body remains relatively free from any kind of disorder. That's a grace. To earn that grace, one has to serve the teacher. Okay? Therefore he says, Atmagnyam yarchayet bhutika. The person who is who is desirous of prosperity should worship this Atma, the wise person. Why wise person? Listen this. The one who is a Shrotriya Brahmanishta Acharya, he is the one who is free from ahankara. He or she may have a badhita ahankara, vyavaharik, individuality. There is no individuality seeker of happiness. There is no ahankara, individuality, seeking fullness, feeling incomplete. There is all his actions and whole existence is out of happiness, that person. So that person is free from ahankara. Being free from ahankara, you can worship him. Why we worship? Why we invoke Bhagavan in stone? And sometimes why we worship Bhagavan in animals? We worship cows. Why we look at that? Because that stone or a cow doesn't have individuality, its own ahankara. It becomes the best medium, madhyama, to communicate with the Lord, for the Lord to manifest. Dharma raksharth, kruparth. Ishvara manifests through this Vishuddha Sattva. His antakaranam is pure. Any person having Shuddha Sattva, forget about absence of ignorance, self-ignorance, removal of it. That is what Vishuddha Sattva. The person may be ignorant, but if the heart is Shuddha, then Ishvara manifests. As in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, when it talks about Yamaniyama, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha, etc., then Mahavratam is there. He becomes Ahimsaka. Mahavrata means at all the places, all the time, in any condition, no way I do any hinsa. Means tremendous mastery over one's own mind. In a sense, no physical himsa is absolutely generally not there. No vachik himsa and no manasik himsa. Never utters a word which hurts somebody. As I say, listen this carefully and please practice it. This is carry home. My words should be finished product of my thinking, not the raw material for thinking, which usually is. My speech is a finished product of my thinking, not the raw material to think. Having said something, if I have to justify that, then there are two possibilities. First, I am very poor in communication. There are basic, you don't know how to communicate. But more than that, second possibility is that I have not thought through and through. And having said so, I am trying to justify. When you sleep today, ask yourself, did I say something which would have hurt my spouse, my near and dear one? That's a lack of manonigraha. Understand, manonigraha doesn't mean focusing the mind, no thinking, no that. That's not manonigraha. Even in gesture, even in words, never hurt. That person is called Vashi. Very beautiful word in Gita. Navadvare pure dehi sanyasyaste sukham vashi. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi. Navadvare pure dehi naiva kuruvan nakari. And I am never tired of telling this. Some of you might have heard quite a few times from me. And I'm proud to tell that also. That Swami Dayananji was the one who has never said sorry to anyone. No sorry. Not because arrogant. I will not say sorry to anyone. He has never said sorry to anyone means he never uttered something which would hurt others. So disciplined in his speech, in his body language, in his conduct. Never. And he used to say, last time I got angry was at Madurai railway station in 1958 or 1968. That's all. Vashitva. You never hurt anybody. You may lose patience. That's manageable. You may be pained at someone's behaviors and you express your pain. That's okay. But while putting in action, while interacting with other person, I'm very conscious about my words. Self-discipline. And never think ill of it. Mentally also. Some people I have said are so harsh. And the victim is the spouse. He keeps getting day in and day out, the poor fellow or poor felly, whatever the case may be. But fellow felly keeps getting each other's, then they say, I gave him my peace of mind. And some of them are overtly proud to say, okay, I will tell on the face only, I don't keep it with me. Why should you tell on the face? Who gave you that license? And how do you justify that you don't keep it to yourself? That's your problem. That person may not be meaning anything. You interpreted that and you got hurt and you create problem for others. It's all subjective thinking. How do you say, I don't keep it and I tell on the face? As though it's a great virtue. It's not a virtue. You are like that roaming bull on the street, which keeps hurting everybody, whole traffic and all citizens, anywhere, anytime. That's not a way to live. You see, when I never say this word where I have to apologize to anybody. When that ahimsa is there, listen, I'll come back to that point. Yoga Sutra says, Tat Sannidhav, in his mere presence. One word I'm missing out. Vairatyaga. Those animals which are enemy to each other, they give up their enmity because of this person is ahimsaka. Therefore, we see those pictures in ashramam of Rishi. Lion and the cow are sitting together. Snakes and frogs are sitting nearby. That's the story of Sringeri Matha. Shankaracharya ji saw a snake protecting the frogs. He thought this must be something historically very auspicious place. Somebody must have performed, a great person must have performed penance here. Otherwise, this cannot happen here. And then he discovered it was Rishashringa Rishi who had done penance there. The one who officiated Putra Kameshti Yajna for King Dasharatha, because of that ritual, because of which Rama, Lakshmana, Lord Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna were born. And very austerious person. Because of him, Ahimsa, Vishuddha Shuddha Sattvaha, this much Ahimsa comes to those fellows. About Satyam, Patanjali says, when you follow Satyam, Manasa, Vachasa, Karmana, Sarva Deshe, Sarva Kale, Sarva Avastas. You follow the truth. The truth will follow you later on. If you have said something which may not be viable, which may not be proper, but it will become proper, the law of karma phala changes. That's what Vyasji tells to Gandhari. Duryodhana's mother had a boon from Vedavyasa. Let me have 100 sons. And she did something and she would not have the son. Vyasji said, you will have the son, 100 children, because I am Satya Sankalpa. I have always followed the truth. So whatever I said, truth follows that. That's why these Ashirvadas and curses, the blessings and the curses of Mahatmas come true. They get that power to change the karma. Satya Sankalpa, like the Devatas are Satya Sankalpa. Devata can give you some karma phala gati, for which you may not have performed the karma. Etam Sunkam Vittamayim Grahana. Yamaraja says to Nasiketa, have this gati, which is most pleasurable. Nachiketa may say, or one may question, he has not performed that ritual or he has not done that punya karma. How can he get that loka? Yamaraja says, Satya Sankalpo hi ham deva. I am Devata. Because of my upasana and tapas, I am Satya Sankalpa. Whatever I desire comes true. So, this otherwise also person, this person may not be self-brahmagnani. He may not have self-knowledge, but the antakaranam is shuddham so much that whatever he or she says, that comes true. What to talk of Vishuddha? Therefore, Yarchayed Bhutikamaha. So, we have to worship him. We have to propitiate. And this wise person is wise because of Shuddhanta Karma. Fact that he or she had that pure heart, that's why he or she gained the knowledge. If Antakarana was Shuddha, he or she would not have gained any kind of knowledge. So, they had to have a Shuddha Antakaranam, and therefore, their blessings will come true. More than that, the greatest punya karma, the karma which will earn maximum punya, is study of Shastra, is teaching of Shastra. The Kshatriya Brahmanishta Acharya will keep teaching, and that teaching itself will give him tremendous punya. And that punya goes to the one who serves the teacher, who worships the teacher, that person. And therefore, the Bhutika Mahavan should worship this. Last point, Hindus, as I said, I expressed my pain are not that connected with Shastras today. Most of them do not know even what the Shastra is. If you ask them how many Vedas are there, he says if it is a North Indian, he will say there is one Veda, one boy whose name is Veda. They will say that, nothing else. They will not know there are 4 Vedas. And if they know 4 Vedas, very hardly they can tell you the names of the Vedas. Even though the fellow or felly may be Brahmana, born to Brahmana family, that lady or that boy may not know anything. So, this Bhutikamaha, the people in society do not know that. But this value is permeated in Indian culture. You can see this so clearly, especially in the north of India. बोले संत की तो सेवा करनी ही चाहिए. We must worship the saints. Fact that a person is wearing these clothes, Agrastis give a benefit of doubt that he or she must be Brahmagnani. And let us worship. Let us serve him. Whether he or she is not Brahmagnani, at least he or she had a strength to give up the home and pursue Brahmagnana. Then he must be great Punyatma. And therefore we should worship. So this particular value of Santa Seva, that one should do Seva to Mahatmas, is unique to Indian culture. And that comes from this mantra. As I said, people may not know the mantra, but in Sanskriti, the mantra is transferred. The heart or the meaning of the mantra is transferred into day-to-day life of Hindus. And therefore, they always respect saint. They always serve saint. And they always give to saints. And they listen to them because of this particular mantra. Okay, the vision of this mantra. Having said this, teacher concludes this, and we also conclude this Mundaka. And now, so Tritiya Mundaka, second part is to be studied, and which will start from next weekend, hopefully. Okay. Let's see. I'll let you know. I'll record the class if I can't make it. Namaste. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Namaste.